Okay, so we're gonna talk about awkward situations that only happen in America.
Yep.
Yeah. So the dinner date.
That's a lot of fun.
That's like really, really awkward.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, pick you up, sit in a car, you have to talk.
You have like small talk, and then you get to the restaurant. You have to pick what you want to have, what you
No,
want
then
to
you have
eat.
to, the waiter is coming and gonna put you to the table and they're looking at it. Oh, they're so cute.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, and then you're gonna sit down, and you have to pick what you want to eat, and
You have to tell him what you want to eat.
yeah, and like the
Yeah.
cherry on top is if it's vegetarian.
Ooh, yeah. The thing you always have to think what you're gonna eat, so you don't look fat or that it's something hard to eat.
And you can't eat it all because then you look fat, but you can't eat a little because then it looks like you don't like it.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the small talk while you're eating, and he's
Like
looking
while
at
you're waiting
you.
for the food.
Yeah, and he's looking at you while you're eating, and it's just like, oh my god. And then they ask like awkward questions, and when there's like the awkward silence, and both people just like laugh.
Oh.
It's just so awkward. And then he's gonna pay.
Oh, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. That's totally the worst thing.
Yeah, because you're like, maybe I should say something, or maybe I shouldn't. And if I say something, it doesn't really matter because he's gonna pay anyway.
And you feel like you have to kind of give something.
Yeah, because then it feels like you're in debt to that person.
Yeah.
Because he's paid for you.
Hate that.
Yeah. And then what happens after the dinner date? Like, he's gonna take you home, and it's just like awkward, like, oh, did you like the date? Oh, did you have a fun time? They're like, oh, yeah.
No. If you can take a girl out, like, except at me especially, buy fast food or something, like something cheap, so I don't feel bad. And I actually prefer.
I wouldn't want to eat fast food with a guy on the first date.
Oh, but then you can blame it on the fast food because no one looks sexy when you eat fast food. That's smart.
No.
Then you can just eat fries and dip.
But that's like unhealthy. He's gonna think you're fat.
I am fat, so I cannot hide it.
But still, no. Why don't you go for coffee? That's awkward too.
You don't drink coffee.
No.
So
Yeah.
I drink coffee, so I can go for coffee. But you don't drink coffee.
Go for a walk. No, not a hike.
Oh yeah, hiking with an American.
There's actually no good first date. I think.
Oh, I hate
Is there?
No, but just a dinner date.
That's the worst.
It doesn't matter if it is the first or like the 5th time or like 10th time. It's just awkward. It's like no, and I don't know how to behave.
And everyone is always like, "Oh, you want to have dinner?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
No.
Are you hungry? Even if I would be hungry, I wouldn't say it.
Yeah. No. And you always eat before you go to dinner.
Yeah.
Always go.
Yeah, I always do.
Yeah, and so I mean, I always eat before I meet someone, and then they're like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then they're like, "Oh, you want to go for dinner?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not really hungry." And then they're like, "Well, let's go for dinner anyway." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. And then let's see. And also those like awkward comments. I mean,
I hate those.
shit.
I hate those.
Like, there's so many awkward comments. Like, let's see, I have a few. Like, oh, I wonder if those lips are as soft as they look. You're like, well, I wouldn't know, but
You're not gonna try them. Or since I have a tongue piercing, they're like, "Ooh, are you good with that tongue piercing?" I don't know. I'm not gonna try it on you. Trust me. Leave me alone. Ew.
Yeah. Your comment. I wish I could taste that ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the most awkward thing. I was like, I should go home. Maybe.
Or
I want to grab that ass, girl. I'm like, leave my fucking ass alone. I don't want you in my ass.
In my
Or I don't want to have you around my ass. Or anything with my ass to do, just leave it. Leave it, leave it, leave it.
Or the thing like, oh, I wish you could be my nanny.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's a bad one.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, you're too old.
And they always like ask questions like, oh, why did you swipe right on Tinder? They're like, I wouldn't tell you if you asked me, so why do you ask?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, do you like me? Like, we're Swedish. We
Yeah.
would never say if we like you, even if we do, because that's like pride to us. We never talk about our feelings.
No. I like when a guy say what he thinks, but I don't like to talk about it.
No, because then you get vulnerable, so you don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Or that like all Americans always say, "Oh, you should marry me." Like, "Oh, you should stay. You should just marry me."
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm going to marry you. Oh, please marry me.
And they're just like throwing around with that phrase, like, "Oh, you should marry me. Oh, you should marry me. You know, just marry me." You're like, shut up. I mean, like,
Yeah, fuck off. Leave me alone.
or it's even worse, like, "Oh, I think you should sleep with me." You're like, no, I don't want to. Like, yeah, I think you should. Like, no, I don't want to.
And they even make it more awkward when you don't understand a no. A no is a no.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And don't even like try to plan to have sex with someone. Who the fuck does that?
Yeah.
Like, we should have sex on Saturday night.
You're like, I don't plan
No.
that.
No. It's not gonna happen. No. Like, why do you even say that? It's just embarrassing for that person. And like, the whole situation gets like, why? You don't know what saying. Like,
Yeah.
like, no.
Or and they're like, oh, you're a good kisser, and they suck. I'm gonna have to say that Americans are really bad, actually.
Yeah.
So then you have to like, oh, you're good too, and then you're like,
No.
not really.
I usually thank you.
You just say thank you.
I wanna lie. That's rude.
I would lie.
No.
That's even more awkward. Like, thank you. Oh. Or when you're like hanging out with people and like a bunch of other people come and they're like, oh, they're Swedish. And they're like, fuck. Because everyone's like, oh, you're Swedish.
Yeah.
And they're like, that rumor is not good.
No. What American thinks about Swedish people, especially Swedish girls, is really bad.
Yeah. So everyone's like, oh, you're Swedish. Before they were like, oh, nice to meet you. And then like, oh, Swedish, huh? Or when they ask you to dance.
Oh.
They're like, oh, hey, do you want to
oh.
dance? And we're like, no, we don't dance. And they're like, what do you mean you don't dance? We're like, we don't dance.
Good job. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Party's on. Milking the cow. Picking the apples and the mushrooms.
And they're like,
Yeah. Or when we are like in a bar or club or something, we don't dance. We don't dance. We just sit there looking at people having a fun time. Maybe we jump if it's like a good song. But when you start feeling something in the back and there's a guy who's like, come on, girl. And you're like, oh my God, don't touch me, leave me alone. And he's like, twerk for me. I'm like, I'm not gonna twerk, dude. Like, leave me alone.
yeah.
Oh, I hate that. Oh my God, that's the worst.
And you're
thing.
like, help.
Yeah. Then I always like jumping. I take like a big jump and jump into Michelle. I'm like, help me, leave me alone. Oh my God.
And everyone else is laughing.
Yeah. Oof, I hate that.
That's
hate.
And that happens like all the time.
Yeah.
Or when they ask like about your feelings, like, oh, do you like me? What do you feel about this? Like, I don't know. Swedes don't talk feelings. We just don't. It's the same thing about your pride. Like, I don't know. Americans are so proud. We're proud in that way. We don't want to speak. Like, we don't say anything about our feelings because that makes us vulnerable, and we would rather die than tell you.
Yeah.
Because Americans are like,
That's the thing also. When a Swede says they like you, they like you.
yeah. And when an American says they like you, they really
Just
don't.
give a shit.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, I like you, honey. They're like,
No, you don't.
I'm not gonna tell you shit.
Bitch, you don't.
Yeah. Or when you're at a party, you don't even like, you haven't even talked to the guy or something. He's like, oh, you want to go to another room? And you're like, I'm just gonna talk to my friend over here. And then you're like, help in Swedish.
Yeah. Help me. And I'm always the mean friend. Always.
Oh, I can be the mean friend too.
How often do I need help?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm always the mean friend.
Yeah, that's because you can be meaner than I can.
Yeah.
And also when when you're walking on the street,
And they ask for your number.
and you know in movies, like in American movies, like people come out to you like, oh, you're pretty, like, can I have your number? And it's always like a hot guy, and you're like, yeah, you can have my number. Here it's not like that. You walk on the street, and then suddenly a guy like, hey you, and then
Hey, babe.
yeah, hey baby, and then they come out to you and like, hey, you want to have my number? Can I have your number?
We
And
should
you're
go
like,
out. I'm like, oh my god, leave me alone.
and you're like, no, not really. And they're like, why? And then you're like, no, I don't think so. And then you start walking the other way, and they just like run
What?
after you. It's like really creepy.
Yeah. And something I really hate is when people offer me money.
Yeah.
And there we have the pride again in Sweden. Even if I need those money, if every time someone offered me money, I actually need those money. Or they offer me, oh, I can buy you a new pair of shoes, the shoes I really want. I would never say yes. If you want to give me those shoes, buy them and give them to me.
Yeah.
Don't offer me them because I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
Totally. I would never take money from someone else. That's totally not me. I would never do that.
That's not Swedish.
No, no. Since we are like we're like grew up like to take care of ourselves. Or like your family, of course, but since like we don't date in Sweden, we don't like the guy don't pay for the girl and stuff like that, so it just gets so awkward. Now was so awkward moment here again. But on a text.
Yeah, or when you get the ugly friend.
That I always get.
No, not always.
I always get.
Not always.
I always have to sit with ugly friend.
No.
Okay, 90% of the time I'm gonna sit with ugly friend, and you know that's true. Yeah, it's true. And the worst thing that can happen is when an ugly friend trying to hit on you.
Yeah.
I hate you so bad every time that happens. I hate you so bad.
Well, I don't always get the hot friend.
No, sometimes they both are ugly. And still, I hate you every time that happens. I hate you, hate you, hate you.
Well,
Hi, I'm Emma, the third wheel. Or the girl with the ugly friend.
Wait, what?
Or the girl with the ugly friend.
Oh. No, I get the ugly friend too. Sometimes. Or I don't get a friend at all. I'm the third wheel.
Okay,
that's true. Yeah, that happens more often.
That's better. I prefer to be the third wheel and then have the ugly friend.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But sometimes the friend is not that.
It's always that ugly. Not for you. You have been lucky.
And yeah, the awkward moment when they don't take a no seriously.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
It's just make the whole situation, and then you have to be like, man, like, no. And they're like, oh,
I
calm
know
down.
you want to.
Like, oh, calm down. You don't have to be so grumpy. I'm like, I said no like 50 times.
Yeah.
Stop it, please.
Yeah, and these kind of awkward things never happen in Sweden. Like, people don't ask these kind of things. Yeah. Or do these kind of things. Like,
Or like, don't ask questions you actually don't want to have the answer.
Yeah. Like, why do you ask stuff that you know is gonna be awkward? Like,
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. No. I don't know. No. It's just bad.
yeah.
Yeah. I hate that really bad.
Was that it?
No, or when I usually have, oh, how does it come that you have a body like a black girl? I'm like, what? They're like, oh, do you do squats all the time? I'm like, dude, I've never done a squat in my whole entire life. I'm just like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Like, why do you even say that? Just leave me alone. Fuck.
And all the guys are very confident.
So fucking
I get
cocky.
amazed every fucking time.
They are so cocky. And they're
Yeah.
like, I'm not cocky. I'm confident.
And then you're like, well, that's not always a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always like, oh, I'm so good looking. I'm so good at this. You're missing out. And then you're like,
I
don't.
don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
And the fucking attitude.
Oh, I hate that attitude. I hate the attitude.
They're so fucking proud.
Yeah, they are. But we are
And-
proud. We are proud too.
Yeah. But an American can never say that he's sorry.
Oh, I don't do that either. I never have wrong. Just a little bit less right.
Yeah, but you know that time. Du vet den där gången. Du vet den där gången när någon ringde, va?
Du vet nog förstås svenska, liksom.
Jag vet det, men det är ingen som vet i alla fall.
Mm.
Den gången när det ringde, du vet, när vi var hos en viss person. Ja. Du vet när det var typ så här mitten av februari. En viss person som börjar på A. Som bor i Berkeley.
Ja!
Ja, det var. That was awkward.
That was awkward. Yeah, we're talking about an awkward phone call. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think that was it.
Yeah.